Okay, so shall we start?
It's 10 o'clock, I think we should start now. So Agnieszka, if you would like to...
Yes.
Make the
Where is
welcome speech
Joasia?
and then...
Yes.
Yes.
So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depends of the time zone where you are at the moment. I warmly welcome you in the Polish pavilion, where we will now hold two sessions. First one, we will be dedicated the future of bioeconomy in the circular economy transition. And the second session will be dedicated economic incentive and green procurement. But now let's focus on the food and sustainable food production and consumption. My name is Agnieszka Sznyk, and I'm representing Institute for Innovation and Responsible Development. And we are also a leader of a leadership group for food waste, food system, and bioeconomy of Circular European Stakeholder Platform. And as we all know, the global industry is one of the largest sector of the economy, which is accounting about 10% of total GDP. But at the same time, it's producing a huge amount of waste. So could you imagine that every second, 6 food trucks of garbage, it's wasted? It's incredible. It's also the total negative consequences. It's estimated as $5.7 trillion annually. That's why it's so urgent and necessary to introduce sustainable methods of consumption and production in the food value chain. And there is a huge potential for saving, up to $700 billion a year if the level of food waste is reduced. And on the other hand, if we start to focus on local food locally and on the grow food in the regenerative mode, we can minimizing waste production. The cities could generate benefits worth $2.7 trillion by 2050. So I think this number, it's really appealing. And today, as leadership group on food waste, food system, and bioeconomy, we would like to show you the best solution, the interesting examples, how we really can build this efficient, resilient, affecting the food waste, the food system. And we want to also show you the importance and complexity of the bioeconomy as an important, important factor in the closing the loop in the transition for circular economy. But first of all, I also would like to thank you, the Polish pavilion and the Polish team for hosting today's event. And I would like to give the floor to Director Monir Faur to give a few welcome words to the audience.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to welcome you in Poland Pavilion in a shape of a hybrid meeting, which is partially in person and online. On behalf of Commissioner General, Mr. Adam Malinowski, I warmly welcome you. My name is Monir Faur. I'm the Pavilion Director of the Polish Pavilion. It's our great pleasure to have this event organized at Expo in Dubai and Polish Pavilion, and it also allows us to be part of this very interesting initiative. So as part of the transition of European Union initiatives into the circular economy, this event also coincides with Global Goals thematic week at Expo, as well as Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week that are all organized together. And we are very glad to have the turn up and interest in these subjects. As part of Poland Pavilion, we will be focusing on 2 seminars this afternoon. One is talking about the bioeconomy that Dr. Agnieszka has already mentioned, and the second one will be the future of taxation and procurement in the scope of circular economy. It is our great pleasure to be, as I said, be part of this, and also as sign of our participation in our Poland pavilion, especially to the guests that are physically attending. We also have an exhibit that relates to this very subject. So in the meantime, I warmly welcome you to have a visit and have a look. Thank you very much, and please enjoy today's presentations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Today, we are managed to gather great experts and from different sectors, from different institutions, from public institutions, from business, from non-governmental organization. But in the first phase of our session, I would like to warmly welcome Mrs. Karen Fabry, Deputy Head of Unit Bioeconomy and Food System of European Commission, and Mr. Andreas Talner from European Economic and Social Committee. And our guest will share with you the plans and strategy of European Union regarding food system. So please, Karen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Agnieszka. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to open this Dubai Expo session of the Circular Europe Days, the future of the bioeconomy in the circular economy transition. It's a very urgent and timely issue. So the bioeconomy will play a crucial role in the circular economy transition. As we know, biological resources are really a key input to the economy of the EU, and the sustainable and circular use of these resources will lead the transition away from a fossil-based economy. Conversely, the principle of circularity needs to be really at the heart of the bioeconomy as we live in a world of limited natural resources and as we need to ensure climate mitigation. So circularity really has to help us operate within these planetary boundaries by ensuring resource efficiency and reducing the pressure on our natural resources. The development and deployment of a sustainable and circular bioeconomy will enable the spread of new ways of producing and consuming that are really essential to meet the targets of the European Green Deal. And perhaps you know, but I'd like to remind that the European Commission supports these efforts through a number of policy measures or strategies. For instance, the 2018 updated bioeconomy strategy, the Circular Economy Action Plan, and Farm to Fork strategy that were both adopted in 2020, and also via its Food 2030 Research and Innovation Policy Framework that we are deploying via Horizon Europe, and within which we have dedicated pathways for action addressing food waste and urban food systems, both of which aim to make food systems more sustainable and circular. Now, all of these policies bring a wide range of benefits or co-benefits, environmental benefits as they maximize synergies and avoid trade-offs in the management and use of land, sea, and biological resources. They bring economic benefits as they support the development and sustainable value chains and consumption patterns that also help strengthen the EU base, and they bring social benefits that enable transition in local economies. In other words, the places where people live and work. Now, food represents a huge part of the bioeconomy, and the trends of reducing food loss and waste and implementing resource efficiency solutions across all part of food value chains, from consumers to producers and back. The circular bioeconomy will also enhance better use of bio-waste residues and discards, including unavoidable food waste, by transforming these into new value-added products, which also contribute to food system circularity. Achieve circularity in the bioeconomy. And the first is really the importance of a strong policy framework that enables and incentivizes the development and scaling up of circular bioeconomy solutions at all levels, so EU level, national levels, and local levels. And we're happy to say that there's quite a few number of local bioeconomy strategies and national and regional level in the EU, and this is very promising. Now, cities have an important role to play in also becoming major circular bioeconomy hubs, mainly by valorizing their urban biowaste and wastewater resources. And to support this, the EU has established what we call the Circular Cities and Regions Initiative, which supports the implementation of local and regional circular economy solutions. And in particular, we've set up a project called HOOP, that's H-O-O-P, that participates in circular cities and regions initiatives by providing technical and economic assistance and legal support to a pilot group of EU cities in order to help them launch and finance and implement and assess their circular urban bioeconomy strategies and projects. Another important path is research and innovation, because we see these as real enablers and drivers to deploy the innovative potential of the circular bioeconomy solutions and unlock markets for sustainable and competitive bio-based products. I'd like to mention, when I already have before, Horizon Europe, which is the world's largest research and innovation program. And within it, we're dedicating over 9 billion euro to fund projects in relation to food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. We have one particular partnership I'd like to mention, which is the Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking. This is a public-private partnership between the EU and the Bio-Based Industry Consortium, which is expected to leverage an additional 1 billion euro from its private partners, and where the EU is putting also in 1 billion euro. I'd like to also mention another area where we need to make great advances, and that is in-depth knowledge and data on biomass supply limits at both the local, regional, and also the global levels. And this is essential. In fact, we recognize that the overall knowledge and monitoring of the bioeconomy needs to be enhanced. And the fourth path is investing in education, skills, and public awareness. Because new and emerging circular bioeconomy approaches will need new education and skills to prepare the new skilled workers of tomorrow. And we also need to do much more to raise public awareness about circular bioeconomy solutions and products to drive and change circularity and motivate behavioral change. In a nutshell, the bioeconomy and the circular economy are really closely intertwined, and they pave the way towards the European Green Deal goals. And to be successful, coherent, long-term policy frameworks, research and innovation investments, data monitoring systems, new skills, education, and awareness pathways are needed. So we must work together on multiple fronts. I thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you an excellent session today.
Thank you, Karen. So Andreas, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Agnieszka. And thank you very much for the invitation. Hello from Vienna. Congratulations to the organizers to put the focus in this session on the future of bioeconomy in the circular economy transition, and to explore how the circularity approach can also lead to more sustainable and resilient bioeconomy systems. This discussion is very timely. As you know, on European level, the European Green Deal lays down the direction of policy development towards a carbon neutral society. On international level, the UN convened a food system summit in September last year with the ambition to launch bold new actions to transform the way how the world produces and consumes food, and to deliver progress on all 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Within the European and Economic Social Committee, we have established a thematic group on sustainable food systems. It aims to tackle the economic, the environmental, and the social consequences of food production and consumption through a more comprehensive policy approach. Recently, we finished the work on an own initiative opinion on how to align food business strategies and operations with the Sustainable Development Goals for a sustainable post-COVID-19 recovery. And we identified relevant entry points towards more sustainability. Reducing food waste was one of the entry points, and it is for sure an important target. Globally, about 1/3 of the food ends up in the garbage as waste. Agnieszka referred to this already. Around 50% on households level. At the end of the chain, with the entire load of CO2 after all production and processing steps, packaging, transporting, cooling, etc. So we will never achieve sustainability and climate targets if we don't get this right. Unfortunately, the COVID disturbances even increased food losses and waste, but also there is a possibility to change our habits. In this context, I would like to highlight the role of the EU platform on food losses and waste. It is recognized by member states and it supports the Commission in identifying and prioritizing actions to be taken at EU level in order to prevent food losses and food waste. Some thoughts on the crucial role of bioeconomy on the road towards climate neutrality. Our committee has also conducted a number of opinions related to bioeconomy. Generally speaking, bioeconomy involves replacing fossil fuels and fossil feedstock with bio-based energy and raw materials. And if we want to achieve the climate targets, we have to overcome the fossil era rather sooner than later. Bioeconomy is about creating added value for society by producing, converting, and using biological natural resources. It contributes to climate change mitigation in several ways. Sequestering carbon dioxide from the atmosphere in biomass, by storing carbon in bio-based products, and by substituting fossil-based feedstocks and products with bio-based ones. There are some prerequisites which have to be met for the development of bioeconomy. Policymakers must promote sustainable biomass production and mobilization and ensure a stable, reliable, and coherent framework for investments. And we also need a proper demand for bio-based products. So also this needs support via public procurement, for instance, or a coherent framework for technical rules, for safety rules, state aid rules is important to provide a level playing field for bio-based products. Research and innovation is key. Karen referred already to the various actions within the Horizon Europe program. Crucial role of education, advisory services, knowledge transfer and training to ensure that workers, entrepreneurs have the necessary information and skills. And a global pricing system for carbon emission would be a neutral and effective way to promote the bioeconomy and bring all market players on board to mitigate climate change. Finally, to conclude my statement, I am convinced that stakeholder involvement is very important. As an example for success, I would like to highlight the European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform. The platform brings together the circular economy community in Europe. It's a joint initiative of our committee, the European Economic and Social Committee, and the European Commission, and it provides a meeting place for stakeholders to share and scale up effective solutions and address specific challenges. Many of you will be aware of the annual Circular Economy Stakeholder Conference. This year, it's already the 5th edition, and it will take place on the 1st and 2nd of March. If you have not done so already, I would invite the audience to visit this platform. You can easily find it via Google, Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform. Please do contribute with relevant good practice examples. So to conclude, climate change is a major challenge. Agriculture and forestry has great potential to provide solutions, and sustainable and circular bioeconomy is the key. Thank you very much for your attention and all the best for this session.
Thank you very much, Andreas, for this speech and presentation. And as I would love to be with you in Dubai personally, but unfortunately I stuck in Poland on quarantine. But I have my wonderful colleagues, which will take from now on the moderation and leading of today's session. So let me introduce Professor Joanna Kulczycka from Mineral and Energy Economy Research Institute, Polish Academy of Science. She's one of the most recognizable expert in the circular economy field in Poland and beyond. And also I would like to introduce Johannes Kisser from Alchemia Nova, who is great expert in field of biochemistry, chemistry, and bioeconomy. So I would like to leave the floor for my colleague in Dubai, and please, Joanna, now you can continue the moderation. And I wish you all like inspiration and great session today. Thank you very much.
Agnieszka, thank you very much. And we start on time. So we are in Dubai and we have introductory presentation. I would like to welcome Johannes with his presentation about bioeconomy as a systemic approach for circular transformation. Johannes, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here in Dubai. It's potentially the example of how things can really, dreams can come true on the one side, but also if you want it, you can do it. That's also definitely shown here. So if the government decides here to go circular, they will do so, and they will do this within an instant, like they build up the whole city in just 5 years, you know. So it's a great opportunity, and I think they start thinking about sustainability. It's really pioneering role here in Dubai if you act on it, but there is raising awareness, definitely. To be quick, I show you how bioeconomy basically starts to work with. It's anything that can come in. Is it carbon dioxide? Is it polluted air or polluted substrates or wastewater? Plants or microorganisms in combination can deal with these, and to convert these with just the sun intake into all the chemicals that the bioeconomy wants to have. And of course, they also have the byproducts of clean air. You can potentially even recover metals in these plants. And of course, they also clean water. So utilizing plants is the key for the bioeconomy to thrive. A tree shows how circular economy works. It is obvious that they provide ecosystems, they provide all the functions that are needed, and at the same time provide living habitats and provide all these foods and whatever is needed for many species, not just for one. And just these can be an inspiration for designing whole systems or the whole economy. And in this sense, how nature thinks in nutrient cycles. So we have discarded the system and believe we can make it differently, and now slowly understand that this doesn't work. So broken nutrient cycles is just the final outcome of our society's belief in wealth and power of exploiting oil, crude oil, and non-renewable resources. But in reality, if we think it through, nature shows it how it's done. It can be fully cycled. Everything can be done in with regenerative terms. This is an example that I want to share. It's the first self-sufficient public toilet that directly converts nutrients into what they are. So people can pee in this toilet, plants take it up, we harvest the biomass and the biochar and have the nutrients absorbed and stored in these in this system, ready to thrive for utilization in the bioeconomy. That's a very nice project. It's called Houseful. That is European consortium that's also very nice. ECSP connects European projects, and this is implemented in Austria and in Spain in buildings. So we have one building that shows the full cycle, how we can recover these things in southern Austria. And basically waste is, the carbon in the waste is used in biogas plants for energy for the same building. The water is being used for is treated and being reused. And that's, for example, how we can store these systems. That's during the construction phase, when we have built up. These are chamber tanks where it sludge settles and the water is on the top, and we recover the water and the sludge. Sludge is being treated in wetlands, and the other organic food residues are treated in biogas systems, in small biogas system, home appliances. So it's as easy as that. There's just a hose to the kitchen, and the biogas is directly used, incinerated for cooking. That's a very easy and convenient system. That's how a green wall that treats the water looks like. That's also convenient for storing safe. This could be a great solution also for Dubai or other hot countries. And that's during the construction phase, it's like 80% recovered materials are being used for the construction site. So you can deconstruct something and reconstruct them somewhere else. And that's a perfect example of how fancy these systems can look like. In other systems, in like bigger setups, you can do more or less the same for whole villages. Of course, you can diversify the products, you can diversify the different setups. And yeah, that's like a bigger plant. You can see it's biogas in a bigger setup, and it's done directly with feces. It's an upstream anaerobic sludge blanket system. You can convert these, the wastewaters are being treated in constructed wetlands, and so you generate again more biomass. The biogas is upgraded to biomethane and used as fuel for the trucks, the waste trucks for the municipality there. And and this is like we have restored an ecosystem there. That's like, according to permaculture principles, an agroforestry system. The forestry is like soon to come. It will take 10 years for it to flourish, but the trees are all growing very well. They love the nutrients in the water. We have plenty of water, and we basically green Greek islands, which were dry and really not so pleasant before. And that's a tropical greenhouse. So we will have soon to come a locally available tropical fruits on Tinos Island, and pineapples and passion fruits and all the like, ginger, you name it. It's a flourishing, beautiful ecosystem. They love these water and the conditions. If we think it through, we can create these ecosystems all over cities. I would love to see Dubai at some point greening, and then, you know, heat island effects. You have so many positive effects that greening cities can have. You have flood systems. You can do so many regenerating the water, the air, everything associated to that is also enjoyed, and aesthetics, and you know, there's so many multiple benefits that I can just give a speech only on these another time. But if we now think it through and have these oases in the city, these oases can become the hubs, circularity hubs of the future, and can provide much more than just being an ecosystem. They can provide all sorts of services and can become, you know, for circular construction, for repair centers and the like. You know the story, most of you, I suppose, about circularity hubs, how important they are if they are well spread over cities, and by using, for example, underutilized infrastructures. Talking about underutilized infrastructures, this is also a very nice example of how future systems can work. You can see these biorefineries. If we then think about these conversion centers of wastewater to food or wastewater to biomass, these can become resources and in so-called local biorefineries, together with other residues, secondary products that we can directly convert, pre-process, and then have save logistics and save a lot and already have some products, and then connect them to more central biorefineries. That's the only way in the future to work in these setups, in these systems. If we want to tap into residues, we need to think at the local, at the decentralized level, in combination with the centralized levels for these platform chemicals that are also important for the whole bioeconomy to come. Substituting petrochemistry will not be an easy task, as you will not have one single station where you provide all the crude oil. You will have many areas all spread over the place. And so you need to think the logistics through, and the reverse logistics especially. And of course, residues and carbon and things need to be returned to the fields. That's also important. That's just a short picture of, you will not be able to read it. I'm sorry for that. But of course, this is online available, publicly available. So far only in German. We plan to translate it. It's how residues, the red dots are the residues, how they are connected to conventional, or how they can be connected to conventional conversion pathways, and how generally we can produce all the platform chemicals that are out there from bio-based means. Then you can associate conversion factors to these different spots of the conversion, and in the end derive to everything that is now existing from crude oil. You can do it also bio-based. And if we think about the bioeconomy value chain, we would like to refer to it as the bioeconomy value cycle. In this value cycle, we heard about that the stakeholders are key, but it's also that in every single step of this bioeconomy processing, you need to set a big set of actions that are needed for a circular economy to thrive. So it's either is it processing, is it retailing, there is transparency, there are many things that are needed and are necessary. And then, of course, is the recovery and the regeneration of the nutrients to become nutrients again. So there is no way around than to really tap into the nutrients where they end up and reuse it in our systems, even for food, and for all the bioeconomy per se. In this sense, I would like to close this with strategic, something that we have thought about a lot. And we believe that with these three strategic pathways, we can make our economies thrive and get ready for the future. So it's circular economy is circular. If you design something, it can be circular, it can be nature-based or nature-inspired. And of course, it needs to be participatory. Dubai or the Emirates work a bit different. They also work well, I have to say. But in our systems, I think its participation is key, and also the strengthening the social muscle, that people start being part of the system and really converting and understanding what is it that am I doing in this system? What is my role? And in this sense, I think dreaming, planning, implementing, and celebrating is key to get big and get the circular economy out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Johannes, for this excellent case study, and also the challenges which is in front of us. So it's really from Europe to Dubai, the good examples, the good challenge for this. So thank you for this. And as we can see, the topic which we are now covering is a very broad. It's a interdisciplinary and broad. So we try to focus on food waste. We try to focus on resource efficiency now with the 4 presentation which we have, and also on bioenergy and the other aspects. So I would like to invite first Karina Diedrich from the Collaborating Center for Sustainable Consumption and Production with a presentation about food waste and resource efficiency online. Welcome.
Thanks a lot. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes.
Great. So good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are. And yeah, thanks again for inviting us, to all the organizers. We are very happy to participate. Yeah, and since we have, I guess, quite limited time, I will right away start on the topic. And I hope I can. Now it's working. Great. So yeah, you are surely all familiar with this graphic of the food hierarchy. I just wanted to start very briefly on this again to remind, while we're talking about bioeconomy today, and Karen said it also in the introduction, what to do with unavoidable food waste. Still, the biggest part of the hierarchy, or the one that of course, we all always should start from, is how to avoid and reduce the food waste in the first place. So if we had more time today, I would also happily, of course, connect to those projects and activities that are also, I think, very much linked to our circular economy stakeholder platform on food waste avoidance. I won't manage today, but just want to start by again highlighting that any efforts we do in the bioeconomy sector, of course, always have to start and also include these activities in our when working with cities and regions. So today I will focus also on the part of what to do with the unavoidable food waste, and I'm also very happy that also in the introduction, Karen already mentioned the HOOP project, which is a EU-funded Horizon 2020 project, and is being actually built on 3 preceding projects, which are also still ongoing. So it's a big effort also being made by the EU to fund this topic and to bring together the different projects and activities from various actors. So to give you the introduction, I think the challenge, I can be super fast because this has already been mentioned by many of the previous. Obviously, there are many problems with this amount of food waste, and here the numbers for the EU. I don't think I have to repeat this again. Also, I guess it's been obvious for everyone who's participating in the Circular Europe Days that we have to move away from a linear model that is only producing waste, and turn into a circular bioeconomy that has a lot of potential. So also for the EU to bring in the future, and yeah, to really achieve an urban metabolism that develops or that finds new products and new ways. And so far, it seems that yeah, for many European cities and regions, this is still quite a new concept. So I mean, there are many initiatives going on bio-based economy, but very little far developed strategies, long-term visions, how to implement it. So this is really where we also, with this HOOP project, want to tap in and support cities and region in implementing a local or regional bioeconomy. So yeah, the key question really we want to answer with the HOOP project is how to unlock investments in urban circular bioeconomy and how to really deploy a local bioeconomy. And yeah, I think it's also already been mentioned, the key parts to achieve this, and I'm not going into all of them now, but as we've already heard, a key part really for us is all about this stakeholder engagement and really bringing all local and regional actors, and also of course national and European, on one level there, and to really bring then with this also social acceptance, awareness, behavior change. We've heard it before, and in the end, of course, yeah, change these quantities and qualities that are collected and used separately. So HOOP is really about unlocking new investments and bringing them into the cities and regions. It just started about a year ago, well, already a bit over a year, and we still have quite some way to go and are really excited about it. And just to give you a sneak peek of all the experiences and best practices that are already going on and are being developed further in the project. So HOOP has 8, we call them lighthouse cities and regions, across Europe, which all in very different aspects are very advanced in their region or their country for the different activities they do on bio-waste recycling and recovery. So just maybe to give a few examples, in the Bergen region in Norway, for instance, they are very advanced in developing or in feeding the retail bio-waste to insects, and the wastewater is currently being fed, let's say, used for algae production. These two things together. So insects and algae are being fed to fish, so to the fish farms around the region. And the fish, of course, in the end turn to food again. So it's a very nice circular local story of how to reuse the bio-waste. There are other nice, interesting examples in Western Macedonia. For instance, they are currently looking into how to grow mushrooms from coffee grounds, since it's a region which is consuming a lot of coffee. In Almere in the Netherlands, you can also see it on the picture. There's since it's a region which has a lot of water, they also have a lot of weeds, and they are collecting many of these weeds. In this case, I think it's the giant hawkweed, and turning this into, for instance, street signs or bridges. So there are very many local or regional stories, promising practices happening. And as part of the HOOP project, of course, we try to support, bring them further, bring the connection between these lighthouses, but also connect these lighthouses, of course, to further regions. So a big part of the project is to develop, and it's already started, a European network of cities and regions that really want to exchange on their best practices, that want to learn from each other, and move this topic together forward. So this is a very exciting process, and we're very happy for more members. So feel very welcome to join this efforts. Yeah, apart from the cities, of course, there are many technical partners. I'm not introducing all of them now. I guess I'm also running out of time there. But of course, supporting the lighthouses and the network in all aspects needed. So what does the project do? It's built on in total 17 bioprocessors that are available to test in the lighthouse cities. And basically, they get a quite detailed project development assistance. So they get all the technical, economic, financial, and legal expertise to develop their concrete investments, to do the urban metabolism analysis, to develop circular business models and everything around it. Then I said a big part is stakeholder engagement on all levels. And then, of course, to replicate all that is being tested or developed or upscaled during the project. So there are many activities. I mentioned the network, there's a virtual academy, there are many ways to engage. And we are very glad to connect to more projects, to more initiatives, and to really make this a shared effort. So again, the time is very limited, so I cannot go into all the technologies that are being looked at in this project. If you're interested in them, very happy to connect you to the different partners. Of course, there, so a lot is happening. All of them are at least at pilot stage, several already at demo plant or pre-commercial stage. So a lot happening there. And I think I'm running out of time. So just again, the invite, you're very happy. We're very happy to connect HOOP to more projects, to other initiatives, to work further on this. As it's already been mentioned many times today, it's all about connecting all the key actors on European level, on national level. So very excited about this. And with this, thanks a lot. Happy to answer questions. I guess not now, but feel free to connect to us. And yeah, very happy to participate again and hear the discussions.
Thank you very much. and really thank you to be on time. And now it's my presentation about Poland. So I hope I can show you a little bit about Polish region and different aspects of circular economy. We are here in this beautiful buildings, beautiful pavilion made of wood. And then it's as I mentioned already, the subject is very broad. So we also in Poland develop the circular bioeconomy and bioeconomy, but not as a individual strategy, but as a cross-sectional and as a part of circular economy in Poland. But in some region, there are some subjects we are special focus on this bioeconomy. So what is important, what is challenging in bioeconomy, we already said, we already mentioned, but what is going on, we try to use the secondary materials, creating condition as a policy, and also the recovery of material and recovery of energy. And entrepreneurship, that's also quite important for the development. So the biorefineries, sustainable chemical products, and also biomaterials from in different parts of this to close the loop. And in our region, yeah, with the next one, I hope. Yes, it works. Okay, so this is one of the part of the global policy in Poland, because what we have the circular economy roadmap, which was developed by the Ministry of Economic Development of Technology. And with this roadmap, one of the chapter is devoted to the bioeconomy, and we really focusing and underline the activities for the local value chain, creating this some kind of a hubs with local value and local resources, and also the activity in fields of energy and in the industry, so new chemical products through this. And with the Polish delegation, which were here in Dubai, it was mentioned that Poland is as a country where the main resources is people, so entrepreneurship, people, creative education with this, so face the challenge of the future. So bioeconomy could be one of the challenge of the future for this. And with our country, we have in many documents, official documents, the transition to climate neutrality is quite important, with the cooperation and also with financial support by Polish money, European Union project money and Polish money from National Fund of Water Protection and for environmental protection and water management. I try. Yes, too quick, okay. So it's also bioeconomy, it's also a part of smart specialization. So the smart specialization, it means that we really focus on the innovation, which is really needed for bioeconomy. And so all the different aspects which are covered here, they are also support and important for the policy and for the science, for the cooperation. And in case of region, you could see here the different region which are focusing on bioeconomy. So of course, what we can say that some part of Eastern Poland, it's a region with the lowest economic development, but also the region where bioeconomy takes a prominent role in regional innovation, specialization. And what we are talking about healthy food. A lot of this has already been mentioned, but also medical technologies and biotechnologies based on this. We are here, as we can see, that agri-food, forestry, timbering, sustainable energy, and management. And with the new program, also some program focus on the area which are connected with bio. And one which is quite nice is tourism and spa services. So welcome to Poland for some solution like this. And when we go to the other region. So to the region where I come from, I'm from the Kraków. So first of all, I have to say that Eco Małopolska, it's a big program for the Małopolska region, for looking for eco-friendly solution. So we have also, in case of tourism, we have something like eco-rhythm. You can encourage traveling through the Małopolska. So we have mountains, we have a different area with forest, and we have the Wieliczka salt mine, which are famous for the tourists also. And we have in Małopolska for Kraków. Kraków was one of the city where the circular economy strategy was created first by the project of Circular City program connected with Innovo and the Metabolic Institute, and later on developed more closer by us to propose the Kraków more friendly for people, and not only historical, but also with good eco food and eco places. So really welcome to these places. In case of fuels, yeah, so we're talking about biofuels. So in renewable energy sources in Poland, we still solid biofuels and liquid biofuels. That's the main source of renewable energy sources in Poland. Ethanol, bioethanol, biomass. So the potential is presented here. You have the links to any more papers, more detailed paper for this, but we have also the project. A lot have been said already about the importance of cooperation of Horizon Europe, of cooperation between science and industry for this. So the bioeconomy project is one of the consortium where we are involved in, and this is the second generation of fuels and creating the fuel and additives together with the partners from Western Europe countries like this. And also, what else? Cooperation and stakeholders. It's in eco biomass by cascade extraction. A lot of cascade use of materials is important. So biomass cascade extraction hub connected with saccharization, fermentation, pyrolysis. So also welcome for such biochar, bio-based chemical products, which are developed in Poland from wood. And also a lot of solution, a lot of product which you can see also here in this pavilion, but not only. So Poland is famous of apples. So from apples, we can create organic level from apples. We can also create from apples some cosmetics, but as you can see, the houses here, also modular wood houses from this, and here Plantule welcome here to see this product, which are bio-friendly, but also what you can have, it's in Polish, still in Polish, but maybe soon in English. On the circular hotspot, we have 4 catalogs for good practice, which are connected with circular economy. And one of this practice is in the building sector, the other is in chemical sectors, and also in food sectors. So this good practice, as it was mentioned, that when a European circular economy stakeholder platforms, it's important to learn by cases. What we have also seen, thanks to you, it's also done with this in Poland. Education, and to understand this is the, with support of European Union, we can have the PAG Alliance, so circular economy and bio expert for this, with this one, with good practice in Spain again with this, and the project which SME can apply for support. So like Mind the Gap, it's about the circular economy, or green offshore tech. It's also InnoSub project when SME can be involved in this. So we were working, as Agnieszka mentioned, really on circular economy and bioeconomy to promote it through Poland, together with the big cooperation with the project, and we try to make it more clear what circular economy is, what bioeconomy is, with all the books which we presented and with the indicators for Poland, for Polish region, to compare the region like this, more information again on circular platform. So hoping and welcome to this wonderful pavilion for more information. Thank you very much from my side. And welcome to Poland. And we have the next presentation. I would like to welcome for the next presentation. It's about the urban food system transformation, Elisa Pareccio from Milano. Welcome, Elisa.
Thank you. Thank you for this invitation. And thank you for thinking about Milan to be present today and to speak about the urban perspective on bioeconomy. Let me share my presentation. I hope that you see it. Yes? Okay. So it's very interesting to be connected today, also because the presentation that I want to give you about the city of Milan, of course, has a root in the previous expo. So the expo that took place in Milan in 2015. Because of course, in that occasion, our city really understood that it was time to take action regarding its local food system. So basically, I wouldn't be here today speaking if the city council and prominent stakeholders in Milan didn't took into their action a new approach to understanding the food system. So in that case, the city promoted a study with the research partners, a public consultation with the stakeholders of the city, and built this representation of the food system that, of course, as you can see, is seen as a circular system, and also promoted a systemic approach to introduce innovative actions that could promote the sustainability for the local food system. So in 2015, the City Council of Milan also launched the food policy. That is a comprehensive strategy to impact positively and create co-benefits for the city. The document that you can see was launched in 2015 and at an horizon of 5 years, and is now in the renovation process and worked on 5 priorities. So guaranteeing access to food to everybody, promoting the sustainability of food production, promoting food education, research, scientific research, and of course, the reduction of food waste. So you can start seeing as Milan already understood that the field of food waste and of course the circular economy approach was the beginning of this whole action. At the same time, always in 2015, the city of Milan launched an agreement, a global agreement for mayors in cities that were active and that wanted to start a transformation of their local food system. So the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact was launched, and it had 100 signatory cities back in 2015. And as you can see now, it gathers more than 200 cities from all around the world. The document of the pact is a commitment that a city can make on several fields of action and priorities. So from governance to food logistics, from sustainable diets to food production, and also food waste is one of the priorities of the pact. The pact gathers its signatory cities once a year to stem the knowledge exchange and also to provide inspiration. So cities can meet and can understand what are the good practices coming from their fellow officers from very different places around the world. Of course, the Milan Pact that is facilitated, this whole process is facilitated by the Milan Pact Secretariat that is established in Milan, also found a way to promote the gathering of knowledge from these cities. So in previous years, the Milan Pact Awards took place, and they are an extremely interesting tool to, of course, highlight the, let's say, the good practices that are being established every year in different cities. But it also gathered more than 300 practices, good practices that you can find also online in the repository of the website of the Milan Pact. So I strongly encourage you to go and see, especially in the circular economy approach, but the wide variety of actions that cities are taking place in cities, in all the signatory cities. Of course, the Milan Pact is also promoting an action at a regional level, so in, let's say, more homogeneous area. And Europe, as you can see, has a very strong commitment in the Milan Pact. We have a lot of signatory cities, and there is a very lively environment on this topic in Europe. You can also notice that both at local level and at international level, the city of Milan tried to convey fellow cities, fellow mayors, to actually reflect on the impact that cities can make with their actions. And at European level, we are very proud as City of Milan to be coordinating a European project, Horizon 2020, that gathers 19 partners and has a 12 million budget on the next 4 years until 2024. And the project is, of course, promoting the establishment of food policies in 11 European cities. But the general framework when we started the project is, of course, the Food 2030 framework that has 4 priorities. So climate, nutrition, innovation, and of course, circularity. So under these 4 pillars, our 11 cities are working to establish living labs to co-design with their local stakeholders some pilots. And the pilots can be on either of the 4 pillars of Food 2030. And we already know we are in the co-design phase of these pilots in cities. And we already know that, for example, the city of Warsaw will be taking action on the reduction of food waste, addressing students, restaurants, and retailers in the city. And we know also that Milan will be working for the circular economy and a more circular approach of the food, the school canteens system of the city that provide almost 17 meals per year. So we are working also to exchange this knowledge among the cities of the project, and as well with the working group food of Eurocities that gathers more than 50 municipalities around Europe, and that you can also see in the map as the very small dots. The last very interesting stream of work that we are trying to bring on with the project is the establishment of dialogue with the financial bodies that are capable of also stemming this innovation and innovative approaches with cities. So we are in the phase of launch of an investors living lab, a pan-European investors living lab. We are gathering, we hope to gather at least 25 actors around Europe. And the idea is really to match and to open a discussion with financial bodies, like they could be venture capitalists, banks, companies, philanthropies. We are very keen to understand how to match the impact that cities are creating and are now capable of also proof and monitor in a systematic way with the opportunities for impact investing to actually generate and replicate this innovation, and to also scale up all these good practices that we are seeing and that are slowly changing our food systems. For instance, a very interesting idea that we would like to also implement in Milan, and we are working on it, is the social impact bond connected to the food waste reduction. So a mechanism in which the wholesale markets that generate a percentage of food losses can be connected to the redistribution of this food to the local third sector and civil society organizations. And I hope that this could be an interesting topic also to discuss with maybe the speakers today. And I really want to highlight how cities are ready to be speaking about all these topics. And I thank you a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. It's really interesting topic, how to combine the investment, eco-investment with the all environmental benefits and climate neutrality. And then we hope we can really have a chance to discuss about this also today. If not now, then maybe afternoon. But we have a presentation now about the role of education on food circularity, which is also one of the part which is important for promotion and implementation of the circular and bioeconomy. And the presentation is by Simona Grande from the University of Turin. Simona, welcome.
Thank you very much. Greetings to everyone, and many thanks for the invitation. It is a pleasure to be here at Expo Dubai 2020 on behalf of our team from the Department of Management of the University of Turin. I send my regards also from Professor Paola De Bernardi, who is the activity leader of the programs I'm going to introduce. As we have been hearing from academic literature and more in our daily news, and from the previous speakers, grand challenges like climate change, land and ecosystem degradation, which are coupled with a simultaneous growing demand for food, feed, and energy, force us to seek new ways of producing and consuming that need to be respectful of what have been defined as the planetary boundaries. We are conscious of the fact that we are consuming far more resources than possible, and that the way our food is produced and consumed is not efficient, and it is detrimental for the health of humans and the planet. Several experts have been advocating for a need to decouple natural resource use and environmental impacts from economic growth. And the circular economy, a system that is restorative and regenerative by intention and design as an alternative to the so-called linear model, is viewed as a particularly promising approach to tackle these problems. The way this transition can be achieved and operationalized is well represented by the well-known butterfly diagram of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. At the same time, policy leaders are urging countries and regions to be pioneers of this change, such as the European Union, as we can see from this quote from Ursula von der Leyen. And executives agree more and more that the circular economy poses an opportunity for their organizations and are ready to embrace it. However, despite a collective understanding and effort, we know that the world is now only 8.6% circular. We believe that education will play a fundamental role. New jobs and mostly new skills and mindsets will be required for this transition to happen effectively. So far, we have continued to educate through curricula that have been built on linear approaches and objectives. So new ways of learning with innovative features will have to be implemented. Circular economy and a group of scholars have identified how each principle and strategy of the circular economy will call for new capabilities to be developed. As we can see from this graph, they span from basic skills to problem solving, resource management, social, systemic, and technical skills. Today, we will introduce to you three of the educational programs on the circular economy, with a focus on food and bioeconomy, which our Department of Management at the University of Turin has designed following these approaches. These learning initiatives have been made possible thanks to the support of EIT as part of the European Commission's Digital Education Action Plan, and through fruitful collaborations with academia, industry, policymakers, and civil society. The first initiative is a MOOC, a massive open online course, which was developed for EIT Food with the University of Helsinki and launched on the FutureLearn platform at the end of 2020. The course is available for free globally and has been thought as a progressive journey towards circularity thinking and action for students and practitioners. It begins with an introduction to the concept of the circular economy and the connection with the SDGs, then identifying the challenges and opportunities of circular food systems and the role of governance in policies, such as the one of Milan. The path continues with how to translate these concepts into innovative business models and the importance of new training and advocacy initiatives. This course runs across 4 weeks and is built on interactivity, leveraging podcasts, videos, quizzes, interviews with experts and case studies, and also promoting peer learning through the assignments. So far, the MOOC has reached learners in over 120 countries and has been recently launched also in Spanish. Here are a few extracts from the surveys and the reviews, which highlight how the learners really appreciated the innovative style of the course. The second initiative is called DigiEdu Hack Goes Circular, and it is our edition of the Digital Education Hackathon that we have been running since 2019. The first edition, as you can see from the pictures, was held in presence in Turin, while the other 2 editions were online because of the pandemic. In this case, the hackathon was open to bachelor, master, and doctoral students across all faculties who worked in multidisciplinary teams to create innovative solutions in line with the circular economy principles, leveraging digital tools and with an educational purpose. The event included interactive lectures on the circular economy through testimonials of startups in the field, such as Too Good To Go and Rice House, which are here with us today, and one-to-one mentoring sessions with experts in a diversity of areas, from business to engineering to pedagogy. In the surveys, we can see that 91% of the participants declared that they would recommend the experience to friends and colleagues. 99% have positively evaluated the overall event, and the majority of participants have shared that the hackathon helped them increase their knowledge in entrepreneurship, digital education, food systems, and the circular economy, together with giving them confidence in starting up a new business. The third initiative is called Girls Go Circular, which aims to equip 50,000 schoolgirls aged 14 to 18 across Europe with entrepreneurial and digital skills by 2027 through an online challenge-based learning program about the circular economy. The intended learning outcomes include being able to critically reflect upon the circular economy concepts applied in food case studies, and becoming familiar with online and digital tools for collaborative learning and team working. Our team has been involved in the design of the module on food and cities out of the 10 modules available on the platform, produced with the collaboration of 10 partners with different expertise. So far, the program has been offered in 9 languages and reached over 400 schools. So here are the 3 programs once again. And to summarize and conclude, our experience in designing the learning programs presented today suggests that education is indeed a powerful tool to foster the circular economy transition, particularly when it leverages and fosters the following features: interdisciplinarity, inclusivity, accessibility, internationality, challenge-based learning, entrepreneurship, lifelong education, and partnerships, including academia, industry, government, and civil society collaborations. Thank you very, very much for your attention. I will be very happy to answer any questions that might arise from the audience. And feel free to get in touch with us if you would like to know more and collaborate with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Simona. Thank you all presenters for this session. And if we have any question, from chat or from the audience, we have just we have just time for now. I would like to underline that the subject is, as I mentioned, it's interdisciplinary. It's very broad, and but there are a lot of good examples from the policy, from the regional policy, through financial system, to the education. So we could learn from the good practice. We could learn from each other what's going on in the circular economy and bioeconomy. So also from top down and bottom up, different initiative which we have. If there is no from the chat any comments or any questions, then we have not so many time, so we go to the future. So from the state of the art, we go to the future of, yes, if we have.
All right, so my name is Edyta Saczol, and I really appreciate the topic and very interesting. And I have to admit, it's my first time, but I work in the wellness area. So my question to you, Professor, is help me understand how can we connect the circular economy with wellness, corporate wellness in particular. This is the stuff I work on. I have corporate clients, I work with them, and implement wellness all over the world because I have global clients. So help me understand that so I can promote you more. And of course, I can talk about your stuff more and make it more visible to people all over the world too, right? It's all about supporting each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question. It's really true that we have not spoken a lot about the wellness and well-being really, but with the decoupling, with the UNEP policy, that was the draw that we, with the transition to the circular economy, we decoupling resource consumption through the well-being. Yeah, so it's not only GDP where we are talking, but we are talking about the wellness, the well-being, and what we hope circular economy brings us the higher standard of life. So in the better condition which we have, so in case of my region in Krakow, we can say about the climate, we can say about air pollution. We are the first region in Małopolska where we have the coal ban, just for being better, for having better life, yeah, for taking into account the externality, the quality of food, yeah, that's also very important, what we've mentioned. So that's our well-being. It's not only what we said in Poland, it's not, we would like to have more green product, not only green painted product. So that's something what we would like to be sure. So of course we needed more, let's say, eco-labeling. We need more proof for our standard. It's still the product, this eco product, bio product, it's still expensive. But we hope with green public procurement, which we will be talking, that's the responsibility for new technology. It makes our better life, our better well-being for example, in Poland. It was mentioned here that the circular economy for girls, yeah, but as we also discussed yesterday a little bit, there are quite a lot of new technology for solar panel, like like Olga Malinkiewicz, like the like the flexible panels, and we hope it will be developed, the new technology, with the cooperation between science and industry for well-being, I hope. Yeah, I hope I can answer anyway the question. Thank you very much. And we hope the future of biotechnology with an expert. We will also have the subject about well-being for now. We have fantastic experts with us. So I would like to welcome Emma Cho from Ellen MacArthur Foundation. She's with us, I hope. We have Alessio Colombo from Rice House. We have Chloe Junot from Generation Climate Europe. We have Martin Bowman from Feedback Global and Anna Kurnatowska from Too Good to Go. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody from us. And as we already discussed about the state of the art, about the different project, now we're going more to the future of bioeconomy in circular economy transition. And I give the floor to Johannes first.
I got a question to you, Emma, first. And the systemic transformation. How can, or what is the role of bioeconomy in this transition to circular economy? What do you believe is needed in our positive food system?
Yeah, so the bioeconomy and food system transformation more specifically is absolutely essential for the transition to a circular economy. About 45% of our climate solution rests in rethinking our products beyond the other 55%, which is focused on energy and renewables. So when we look within materials, food is one of those major materials that we are consuming every single day. And it's not just about circulating because it's actually being processed by our body. So we need to think about the regeneration and the production of food as well. And if we get that right, we can have big positive consequences on climate, given that the food sector accounts for about 1/3 of today's greenhouse gas emissions, and biodiversity, given that food accounts for about half of today's negative biodiversity impacts. So circular economy brings this framework where we look at the principles of circular economy, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, which are eliminate waste and pollution. It's about circulating nutrients, and it's about regenerating natural systems. And we can translate those principles to all aspects of today's food system to fundamentally rethink and redesign these systems. So it's restorative and regenerative by design. We started to understand what that potential is, and some of the findings from our first report on food from the foundation called Cities and the Circular Economy for Food have already been quoted today, so I'm not going to repeat them. And we've also most recently, in September of last year, launched our latest piece of work called the Big Food Redesign, which I can speak more about. But that's really coming back to the power of design, the shift in mindset, and the opportunities for circular economy to be applied to our food system and design for a nature positive food system that we need.
So mentioning the elephant in the room, is this the also should we deal with excretes and that they are returned to food basically?
We looked into that. I'm so glad you're raising it. So many people try and sidestep it. But when we look at byproducts, right, in circular economy, there is no such thing as waste. And if you look at ultimate byproducts of food, that is human waste. And especially within cities and the work we did in cities, a large portion of that volume of nutrients accumulating in cities is through our human waste. And that does have nutrients, which we do see some innovative solutions around the world being able to capture those in a safe way and transform them, extracting the nutrients for high value fertilizers, for instance, that then can be returned to agriculture production that may be even in the peri-urban area surrounding cities, and you get this virtuous feedback loop. There's lots of research still being done, but there are some innovators, including one that we learned about in Canada actually called Listek, which is working in the city of Guelph and a few other cities across the US and Canada to be doing that in a safe way and creating a very innovative fertilizer that's very lightweight and it's liquid. So it's really changed the opportunities for farmers. And they've come out with some new models for providing not just the product, but the service as well to apply that fertilizer in a safe way.
Thank you.
Thank you. So one of the business model product as a service, but also I have a question then. This is one of the model, but how to design this effective system to prevent food waste in different part of the world. It also, but also to connect with the question which we have of the floor, not only effective, but also to be well-being. How to design it? It's the question. What do you think with this solution?
Yeah, so in a circular economy, the goal is to design out the concept of waste altogether, so that what we see today as waste is actually a byproduct, a feedstock for a new cycle to begin. And the goal as well is to keep these nutrients at their highest value for as long as possible. About 28% of today's agricultural land is used to grow food that is not eaten. And this includes byproducts, things like agricultural residues that you can't eat directly, but we're actually seeing some really great upcycling, what called upcycling solutions, that can take things like corn crop residues and transform it into ingredients that can then substitute raw sugar, cane sugar, and therefore make the most of the food that we're already growing. So that's just one opportunity that can help keep food and its byproducts at its highest value. And then I know we've got someone from Rice House, which is a company I love, and we showcased it a few years ago, because that's another example of cascading these byproducts and what we see as waste, but actually being inputs throughout the entire economy, because maybe the best pathway isn't back into the food system. Maybe the best pathway for that locality and the infrastructure in that place is actually going into something like building materials, or into textiles, or into something altogether different. And energy is captured as a byproduct. We don't count burning or incineration directly for energy as a circular solution. We always want to be getting those material captures and these value cascades, we call them. We maximize that. And it just happens that capturing bioenergy tends to be an additional co-product that, of course, can go back into the grid. And one concrete example, which is quite interesting because we often don't even think about all the byproducts floating around in our food system. One of them from the production stage is fruit. So think of fruit juices and all sorts of products that we get on the shelves. There's the residues from that, the fiber of the fruit, which is really valuable, lots of nutrients in that. And there's a company from the Netherlands called Fooditive, which is helping to transform a fraction of the 6.7 million tons of these food byproducts that are generated globally each year. And if we can innovate and find solutions to transform those byproducts at scale, just that one fruit byproduct, that could replace enough sugar that would otherwise use the land area equivalent to the size of Luxembourg. So again, a great approach for helping to support biodiversity, make the most of the food that we're already using, and have big benefits for climate as well.
Thank you very much for this holistic solution and holistic view and close the cycle. But the same question I go to the Martin. Martin, what do you think how to design? What's your experience with effective systems just to prevent the food waste and the well-being?
Hi, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole host of things we can do to reduce food waste. I think the first thing to emphasize is that our priority should always be on preventing food waste arising in the first place. We know from a life cycle assessment that feedback conducted that preventing food waste saves 9 times more emissions than sending it to anaerobic digestion, for instance. And if you plant trees on the spared land for reducing food waste, it's actually 40 times more emissions. So our priority should always be on that prevention. Now, what does that look like? I think we've been sold a bit of a myth so far that in rich countries, kind of lazy consumers are mainly the problem, and that in lower income countries is a problem of a lack of tech in supply chains. And actually, the recent data shows that that's not the case at all. And actually, consumer food waste is as high in low income countries, but also food waste in supply chains and on farms is if anything higher in rich countries. And that's got more to do with power relations in those supply chains. So powerful supply chain actors like supermarkets pushing the risks and costs of food waste onto their suppliers and their customers through things like unfair trading practices, rejecting food for being the wrong size and shape. So I think one of the main transformations we need to see is a greater readiness to stop these kind of power relations happening. We've seen in the UK and other examples that voluntary agreements in this respect just aren't working. You know, for instance, we're seeing reduction in food waste of about 1% a year in the UK, and I think it doesn't take a great deal of imagination to realize that we could be going quicker with that. So I think what we need to see is binding regulation to stop businesses wasting food, and that means mandatory food waste reporting and transparency, and also binding reduction targets, but also things like unfair trading practices legislation to even out these unfair trading relations between businesses too.
Thank you, Martin. So potentially a bit of a planned market introduction of these circular economy solutions, and maybe even by laws from a policy directive will change things much quicker. Obviously, yeah. So that's maybe in Dubai or the Emirates situation. When the ruler says something, it's happening. So anyways, that's another storyline, I suppose. But I have a question to Chloe. What is, if in this transition, what do you believe is what are the most important triggers, and who are the actors in the most crucial ones in this value chain to become a value cycle?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for inviting us, GCE, Generation Climate Europe. So we believe that it's essential that all actors are involved, of course, because consumers are important, but they can only make the right choices if policymakers support the transition to more circular food systems. And if the state also supports businesses to implement solutions that would then make it easier for consumers to consume more or to waste less food. And so with regard to consumers, we think youth, because we're the biggest network of youth associations in Europe, we believe that youth has great potential actually to change its behaviors, because that's the group that leaves home and starts adopting new behaviors as they start doing the groceries, cooking, etc. Therefore, we believe that it's also important that they get to participate in the food policies that are made at local level. And that's something that's been done, for example, in Toronto, where a food policy council for youth has been created to give youth a voice, actually, in how in the policies that are made regarding food. But that can also be more punctual participation opportunities offered to consumers, but also particularly youth. So, for example, if you think about reforming regulations on use-by dates, that would be crucial, actually, to involve also consumers in that, because we need citizens' acceptance of those new policies, and we need citizens to understand what the policies are about. And if they participate in the making of those policies, it's not only an awareness-raising opportunity, but also a tool to make it more acceptable to citizens. So we think that participation is really important. And yes, I would say that's the core of our argument.
Thank you so much, Chloe. Martin, basically the same question goes to you as well. What are the most important, the crucial actors, the crucial triggers that we have now to do first, let's say, in this conversion of or the transition to bioeconomy circle?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a whole host of food system transformations we need. One of the things we've looked at is, for instance, using food waste as animal feed. I think we can reuse and reforming the law to enable more types of food waste to be fed to animals. For instance, there's a system in Japan where they heat food waste up to regulatory temperatures and reuse those in the system. But I think fundamentally, some of the biggest changes that we need are to take on a dietary change. So, for instance, we need to shift to dramatically lower meat diets. We know that livestock uses up 83% of global farmland and about 2/3 of emissions, despite accounting for a minority of calories and proteins. So it's absolutely essential that we get that transition. That's probably the biggest thing in the food system. Also reducing food waste through the kind of regulations that I was talking about. And finally, as well, I think we need more food sovereignty and agroecological approaches. So I think we've seen a great trend towards corporate concentration as a great example. I think the equivalent of fossil fuel companies that need to be wound down in the food industry are industrial livestock corporations who produce sort of extremely large quantities of mass-produced low animal welfare and cheap meat at scale. And these companies, they're hardwired for growth. It's the core of their business to produce this meat. And in a similar way to fossil fuel companies, they have no role in a sustainable future. So we urgently need to divest money from those companies. We need to treat them like fossil fuel companies and start introducing policies for a just transition. So, for instance, to help farmers out of those industries, retrain them in green unionized jobs. So, for instance, in plant-based food production, but also in nature-based solutions and wildlife management. And with food waste, as I say, we need to introduce strong regulations to help mediate those supply chain power imbalances to help bring food waste down. As an example of the overlap there as well, we see about 5% mortality rates on a lot of factory farms. Meat waste has by far the highest environmental impact of any type of waste, just because meat is higher impact. And though that 5% mortality rate on factory farms both represents a terrible blow to animal welfare, but is also one of the highest impact forms of food waste. So we desperately need to introduce higher animal welfare systems to design that waste out of the system as well.
Thank you very much for this. It's really just transition and more idea for promoting the circular economy and bioeconomy from different perspective. But it's for us also important the perspective from business. Yeah, so business, it's we talking about a lot of strategy, policy, legislation, and so on. But from business perspective, when we what the biggest barriers? Yeah, we were rather positive today. So what the barriers do we have to scale up your company? How we can overcome them? So the first question to Alessio from Rice House.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. And just from our point of view, our experience, we are a startup, an Italian startup, and well, we work in the field just like the construction site and in buildings, and we are trying to put into this traditional and classic way, approach to the construction, new materials made of rice residues. And for our experience, the big problem to scale up is just connected to this distrust of the new materials and new innovative materials inside, as I said, a so traditional type of economics. So maybe the problem we have to consider that is we have to make the possibility to grow up our network, our experience, and to make the client very proofs of our materials and a new way of construct. So maybe panels just like the one we have, it's very important to spread the idea on that with a new approach, a circular and sustainable approach, could be a new way, a new way to have the possibility to enter into the business and try to scale up in a quick way, because we have to consider that if we consider our business related to construction and buildings, there are a lot of problems related to energy consumption and waste production. So we want to try to pass these problems related to make new products related to waste and rice residues. So try to tackle some problems related to agriculture, to farmers, even to the construction side. So maybe all the policy and the rule we talk about up to now, and the possibility to grow the network in the knowledge of a new way of construct, it's the best way to scale up.
Thank you very much. So we are here, we are just talking about the sustainable solution, circular solution, a good practice, that's one this. Also in this expo in Dubai, we could see a lot of solutions which are environmental friendly, which are in line with SDGs and here with on different field, on different aspect. But we have also with us Anna Kurnatowska from Too Good To Go. Is it the solution which you developed? Is this in line with circular economy, sustainable? How you treat it, and what is the main barrier also for you?
Hello, thanks for the invitation. I'm very happy to be part of this discussion, and yes, absolutely, Too Good To Go is in line with the circular economy. We are not producing anything, but we are making sure that the food that was already produced is not wasted. So all the resources that were used to produce it are not wasted too. And before I talk about the barriers, I think it's I'm happy to say that we have more opportunities than barriers. First of all, we don't have to convince anyone that food waste is bad. And here we are among the experts, but I talk also about the consumers. The food waste is a big topic for some time already. And I'm very happy that we talk about this and that people are aware about this. And more and more people start to be aware that food waste is not only bad for our pockets, that it's bad for the economy, but they know that it's also bad for the environment. And that's why we are growing in a very, very fast pace. We are in the hyper growth phase. We are opening more and more countries. Currently, Too Good To Go is based in 17 countries. And we're not going to stop here. So this is a huge opportunity to do something good for the planet. The awareness and the fact that it's good for the pocket and for the environment, as I said, this is our main opportunity. And about the barriers, there is not so many of them, and I won't be original here. It was already said. The legislation would be the main focus for us. Depending on the country, there are some challenges. I can talk about Poland. For sure, there is a lot of space here to help saving even more food. Someone already mentioned before about the best before products that could be sold even after the date. So there is a lot of areas in the legislation that could help us to save more food and for us and grow. And I'm very happy to say that growing for Too Good To Go means saving more food, so doing even more good things for our planet and environment.
Thank you, Anna. It's also very nice to hear that you're in a hyper growth phase. The good should grow. I fully agree. One last quick question to the both of you again, Anna and Alessio. Maybe start with Alessio. Maybe just make it rather quick, 2 sentences, not more. And the question would be, what kind of support from municipalities or governments would you most need right now?
Yes, I start. Well, I think that in terms of legal and government support, it's quite important that we have not only to consider energy consumption, we have to consider all the idea of that, for example, the construction and building site must be related to all the idea of entire sustainability. So we have to consider not only the energy and energy consumption, but we have to consider all the idea of economy, environmental and social aspect of legislation. So the support we need is to consider all the aspects and not only the one related to energy.
Okay, thank you. That's again pointing to holistic view. Anna, what's your view? What would you need right now on support?
Yeah, so I just mentioned that the legislation should be more flexible and give more opportunities to save more food. So that's one, and something that's always welcome is just education and promotion. So telling everybody, all the new businesses, also that Too Good To Go should be, or similar solutions, of course, should be a part of the business model when it comes to the food business.
Perfect. Very nice. I think then the Emma, maybe you would like to give us the last 1 sentence or 2 telling us what are the next most important steps. Well, what is the next most important step? 1 step ahead, not the whole roadmap.
Well, where we are today and coming off of our latest research piece is actually seeing the power of the food buyers in transforming the system. Because, for instance, the top 10 FMCGs, so food manufacturers and retailers in the EU and UK, have about 40% or influence about 40% of the agricultural land. And we've been talking a lot about waste today, but it's really important that we go upstream as well. So that's where we would start.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the discussion. Thank you very much for our expert for discussion for today from different perspectives. And unfortunately, we have no more time for all the discussion, but I hope the circular economy and bio-circular economy would grow quickly and would help us for the well-being. And we have one more question from the audience. Welcome.
Hi, so I'm Amelia, and I work in technology, but I like to think that I attempt to be a responsible consumer. Now, in COVID, my family and I had an opportunity to look very much into what waste do we generate, how our household operates and so on, and could we make changes to it, right? Could we make a sustainable, responsible changes? Now, as a consumer, I struggle with obviously an access to an information and also sort of a badge of honor. So if I go to Amazon, I would like to purchase something. I would like to know that this particular product or this particular company has a certification, badge of honor, or just a stamp of approval that it is a part of the circular economy, or at least tries to be a part of, circular economy. Is there an intent to make some kind of recognition to it so the consumers could have a choice? And I think Chloe mentioned this before, the consumers can't make a good choices if they are not educated about them and they don't have those choices in front of them.
Thank you for this question. We know that the European Union is working on product environmental footprint, but it's more on life cycle assessment. We have already some circular labeling, some kind of from different organizations. But Emma, would you like to add anything? As I can see,
yeah, I was nodding away because one organization based in the US called Upcycled Food Association has about 150 members, and they have just been rolling out a new certification scheme. I don't know if it's been rolled out yet in the EU, but that's the first thing we've seen for upcycled foods.
But still, in case of eco-design, eco-labeling, we have like 300, 400 different labels. So for consumer, it's not very easy, like a fair trade, like circularity, and even so that's really the challenge which we have. Any more comments for this question? No more. So one more challenge. Thank you for this from the floor very much. And it's really time. It's time for green public procurement, for talking about the next challenging connecting with the finance and with new circular economy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the help. Thank you for the audience, and thank you for today's session.